More Scottish sea kayaking adventures. The East Coast for a change. Out to explore the Isle of May during 3 fabulous days kayaking with a great bunch of friends. The Isle of May lies between the outer reaches of the Firth of Forth and the North Sea. Based for the 3 days around Fife and Tayside, we'd paddle from Anstruther, the shorter northern route. Lying in the outer reaches of the Firth of Forth, the island experiences very little tidal flow, but is totally exposed from every weather direction, especially the North Sea's short steep swell on its east side. Making breakfast on day 3 was quick and simple, having made sure I had everything I needed to live in my comfy, roomy car each night. Andy, Sinclair and myself met at Anstruther, with Joan and Dave from Dundee joining us for the day. Anstruther had recently taken delivery of their new Shannon-class lifeboat and sophisticated launch and retrieval unit, with all crews still undergoing training before being signed off, service ready. We left the shelter of Anstruther's harbour into overcast but still conditions, with just a hint of low northeasterly swell. It wasn't too long before we were in the company of a few puffins, out to catch their breakfasts, no doubt. And the sun was trying to break through as we paddled along to some great banter. A quick distance check at 3.6 miles completed, over halfway there and another couple of miles left to do at a very leisurely pace. Our new friends seemed to be shadowing us along the way. They would have only recently returned to the island to breed, and many would still be on their way. A visiting cruise ship had been in the area overnight and was heading north to Orkney and Shetland. The slight lazy swell had been increasing the further out we travelled towards the island, and now the northeasterly swell became more evident as I could see it breaking onto Norman Rock off the northern tip of the island. A slight influence of flood tide also pushing westward around the northern end. Sinclair made his way through Mildaw's natural arches as we worked our way along the western cliffs. Ordinarily we'd have stayed further away from the cliffs to avoid disturbing nesting seabirds, but strangely the ledges were remarkably empty as we passed by. The Isle of May is a wildlife reserve with an abundance of varied wildlife and of great significance for migratory birds. The reserve is run by Scottish Nature and managed by David Steele. He's a very much hands-on kind of guy and a great friend that always makes me welcome each time I visit. David and his team of Wardens are always busy maintaining, catching and monitoring equipment for research, with hides built precariously on and partway down the cliffs.
toThe. Awful structures as well, they're like sheds.
We paddle on past Pilgrim's Haven, the South Foghorn, and Maidenhair, marking the southern end of the island. Once around the southern tip, we were able to see and feel the full effects of the northeasterly swell. As I'd remarked earlier, landing in through the narrow approach to Kirk Haven harbour was going to be interesting. Even the trip boats sometimes require the white transit markers to ensure the correct line into the narrow entrance. Once into the correct line, we'd need to run the gauntlet between the waves, often breaking right across the entrance. Wave surge is difficult to judge and often worse than being hit by a breaking wave, as it relentlessly pushes the kayak offline towards the rocks. The surge is particularly noticeable here, as Sinclair and the others are each pushed from my left to right.
I better keep in this side.
Unfortunately, a few bigger sets came through just before Joan could make her approach. All safely through, but this entrance has made a mess of a few kayaks belonging to a few paddlers I know. Fortunately, none of them hurt.
Said it could be interesting. Excellent work. How are you doing?
The May Princess is the main tourist boat operating out of Anstruther, and the beautiful Isle of May is a visit I'd strongly recommend.
Some good ones coming through that gap, actually.
Our route on the Ordnance Survey map. Please pause or rewind or even screenshot for greater detail and features of the island. The information centre is full of fascinating description boards with lots of information about visiting and resident wildlife of the island. The intricate shapes of the netting pens used to harmlessly capture and collect birds for ringing, study and recording, with the little collection point hatch shown. St Aidan's Priory ruins, believed to be home to Benedictine monks from 1153, with links as far back as the 9th century. All of my aerial footage in this video was taken during a return overnight visit a week after this trip. The Isle of May has had 3 lighthouses, from the White Coal Beacon to the right of the main light, built in 1635, the main Robert Stevenson light built in 1816, and the low light shown later built in 1844. Our visit and lunch over, it was now time to tackle our high water exit to the east, through a very narrow gap between Kettleness and the Pillow. More careful timing required. Again, more surge pushing me to the right. With all safely through, it was off up the east side and around the north tip of Rona. I'm sure it's the same two puffins, making sure we leave the island to give them some peace and quiet. Views of the low light built in 1844 after the main light to give inline navigation, avoiding North Car Rocks 7 miles north of the island. It was only used until 1887. The low light and happy kayaking memories of drinking whiskey in there till the early hours with RSPB members. Happy days. And finally the North Horn on the tiny island of Rona. Well, finally seen off the islands by a raft of puffins, it was now time to make our 5-mile crossing back to the Fife coast and our morning launch point at Anstruther. Oh, and a few more just checking. Arriving back on the Fife coast, we travel west past the picturesque village of Cellardyke, its houses built precariously close to the shore. I can't resist a little play past the rocks.
Been a good one, Andy.
And the lifeboat crews are still out there practicing. A very satisfying wee trip, and nice to be back around such a beautiful island on our east coast. Magical. Enjoyed the video? Well, there are plenty more on the channel. Click on the thumbnails for recommended content, give a thumbs up, subscribe and share with friends. Thanks for watching.